Guys, this is Dr. Callahan. We're with week 13, Monday for Algebra 2, Semester 2. How are you guys doing? Go ahead and pause the video and answer the following 3 questions for your warm-up log. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So today it is the 11th, and this is the week 13. So the next week is week 14. So you have that Monday off because of Professional Development Day. Then week 15, and then 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. Week 20th, Monday is a day off for you guys. It's also Memorial Day, so that is the kickoff to summer. And then week 21, Tuesday is the last day of your school year for 2021-2022. So most likely your final is going to be on the week of 20. I don't know what the actual final schedule looks like yet, but once I do have that finalized from admin, I will share that on Teams with you guys. But we have exactly about 6 more weeks left until finals week. So if you were not here on Friday of last week, this is what we did. We went over the different type of composite functions. We also went over the operations of functions when it comes to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Then we went ahead and practiced using these 10 questions in class. And so this is now week 13, and with your YouTube channels right here, if you guys take a look on this link, you have 57 videos that we have recorded for this class. So week 12 Friday is actually right here. And so if you missed that class's video, make sure you guys watch it. It's about 32 minutes, and then fill in your guided notes so you're not missing anything in class. So today we're actually going to go ahead and continue with function operations. We're just about like a day behind, but that's okay because that's why I reserve 1, 2, 3, 4 more days on inverse relation and functions. Although we will have a brief introduction to relation and functions with the inverse functions, and then we'll continue that on Tuesday. So let's go ahead and take a look at your breakdown for this, although I have to say this is slightly incorrect. So I'm going to go ahead and change it. There we go. So this is week 13. Monday's material. We're going to talk about composite function. This is day 3. You should have my handout that's given to you. It is double-sided. And the first thing on this is going to be a concept, reminder, notes. And then on the back of this is going to be practice problem. So then I will do one. Then you will try the second one. And so the only material you really need to have is have your iPad and then also the handout itself. All right, so this is the first part of the handout. So if you look at this, this is a composite function. Composite functions are big functions made of multiple smaller ones. They can be written as f of g of x or fog, where f and g's are separate functions. And so in order to solve for this type of function, you will need to solve for g of x, which is, remember the baby and the mom. So here's the baby right over here. That's on the inside. And then once you have that, you will need to plug that back into f of x, which is the mom on the outside. And then for g of f of x or fog, you will first start off by looking at the f of x, which is the baby, and then you plug that into the g of x, which is the mom, and that is on the outside right there. So g of x equals x squared plus 1. If f of x equals 2x plus 1, given that these two functions, you can find fog or goth or both. So with the first one, let's take a look. You guys have a blink right here. F of 2 is going to be equal to, whenever you see an x for f of x, you replace it with the number 2. So that's 2 times 2 plus 5, which is going to give you 9. So you want to copy that part down because you have a blank space right there. Then you're going to take that number and put it inside right there. So you're going to have goth So f of 2 means that whenever you see a 2, you put that into 2x plus 5. Oh, I'm sorry, you already have that, just kidding. So when you have that, you're going to take that 9 and put it right there for g. So g is x squared plus 1. So every time you see an x, replace the x with a 9. So 9 squared is 81. 81 plus 1 is going to give you 82. And that is your answer for that one. So essentially, if you put that together, goth is equal to 82, which is your answer right there. Okay, now let's take a look over here. If it is reversed, where you have fog or f of g of x, where x equals 2, you're going to start off with the inside, which is the baby. So that's g of 2. Well, your g equation is x squared plus 1. So wherever you see an x, you replace that with a 2. So that's 2 squared plus 1, which is a 5. Then you replace that g of 2 with the number 5. So you have f of g of 2. So wherever you see a f for the x, you replace it with a 5. So 2 times 5 plus 5 is 10 plus 5, which is 15. So fog of 2 or f of g of x or f of g of 2 is just going to be 15. As you can see, the final answers are different, even when the initial x value was the same. Because these are composite functions, the order really does matter. And the last part I want you guys to copy down is this is usually the case unless the functions are inverse of each other, which today we're going to go over the introduction of inverse functions. So take a look on the right side of your paper. Solving composite functions. So instead of plugging in and solving and plugging in and then solving again, you can really just solve the composite function by just substituting on the equation for x in the other and solving just simply once. So let's take a look at an example. Last time we found that g of 2 and we plugged it into the f of x as the x. This time, instead of solving for g of 2, we're going to plug the entire thing into the f of x as x. So you have the blank spots right there. Your f of x is equal to 2 times, there's your x, replace that with x squared plus 1 plus 5. And that essentially just replaces the g of x as x. Now you're going to use the function above to solve fog of 2. So in the distribute that 2 into the parentheses, which gives you a 2x squared plus 2 plus 5. So from here, what is your x value? Your x value is a 2. So replace that with a 2. 2 times 2 is a 4. 4 plus 1 is a 5. 5 times 2 is a 10. And 10 plus 5 gives you a 15. So as you can see, you did get the same answer as when you initially solved it the very first time. Now let's talk about inverse. Finding the inverse of a function is pretty much the same thing. All you have to do is you just switch the x with y, so you kind of reverse it, rearrange the function to solve for y. So for example, in order for you to find the inverse of this example right here, first thing you're going to do is you're going to switch the letters. So y becomes x, x becomes y. And from here, you're basically going to go ahead and solve for y. So what that will look like is I have x equals 3y squared plus 4 minus the 4 on both sides, divided by 3 on both sides. And then lastly, you're going to square root both sides. So your answer is y is equal to the square root of x minus 4 divided by 3. And that right there is your inverse. And the way we write the inverse function is f of negative 1 to the x equals square root of x minus 4 over 3. So now that we practiced with this a little bit, I'm going to have you guys take a look at goth and fog. So pause the video and see if you can find that. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the answers. If you did g of f of x, your answer is going to be x. If you did f of g of x, your answer is going to be x. Since both of these answers are x's and they're exactly the same, you can say that the two functions are inverses of each other because they're the same. So if you go ahead and find f of g of x or fog, or if you did g of f of x, which is goth, and they are indeed equal, then they are inverse of each other. If you go back to the original equation here that we did, notice that when you guys did these two, they are not equal to each other, so they're not inverses. All right, so flip your paper over to the back, and we're going to go ahead and practice a little bit more with composite functions. We'll start off on the left. So on the left, this is what you're going to be working on, okay? So it says, when using your dice, you will perform the function operation below. Each row of the dice will determine what f of x and g of x are. After f of x and g of x are determined, you will perform the given operation and find the domain. So your sub is going to have dice for you guys to use. And let's take a look at number 1. For number 1, if you roll the die, and I'm just going to say naturally that, let's say I got a 3, okay? So then my first die, my f of x is x squared plus 3x plus 5. Yours might be a little bit different. Then take the same die, roll it again the second time, and then let's say that I got 4. So my g of x is x squared minus 7x plus 11. Once I have that, I need to find an addition of f plus g of x. So then all I have to do is just add them together. 5 and 11 gives me 16. 3 minus 7 is a negative 4x. X and x gives me 2x squared. That's my answer. So now that I did number 1, I want you guys to work on number 2 on your own. So with your die, make sure you guys roll it once to determine what the f of x is. Roll it the second time to determine what the g of x is with your die. All right, let's go on to 3 and 4. So for number 3, let's say, for example, that I rolled my die and I received 6. So my f of x is going to be 2x squared plus 2x minus 4. And then I rolled my die the second time, and let's say I got 5. So then my g of x is going to be 3x minus 10. Well, I need to start multiplying the f of x with a g of x. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little table right here, just like when you guys learn how to multiply polynomials. And then your f of x is going to be horizontally on top, and your g of x is going to be vertically on the side. And then your goal is to go ahead and fill in the tables. Okay, so then your first answer is the upper left corner. Your last answer is going to be the lower right corner. So 6x cubed plus 40. Then your answers in between them will be the diagonal of these. So see how I'm highlighting them diagonally? Your first diagonal is negative 20 plus 6 is a negative 14x squared. Your second diagonal is a negative 20 minus 12, which is a negative 32x. And this right here is your answer. So now that I went ahead and worked on this one, I'm gonna have you guys work on number 4, which is on division. So pause the video and answer that question. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to number 5 and 6. For number 5, notice how it's no longer plus, minus, divide, and multiply. It is now fog and golf. Okay, so let's say I roll my first die, and let's say I landed on 1. So my f of x is going to be 3x minus 5. I'm gonna roll my second die, and let's say that it landed on number 3. So it is gonna be a 2x plus 1. So my goal here is to find the fog of 2. So another way of writing that is just going to be f of g of 2. And remember, you're going to be working on the inside first. So what is your g of 2? Well, whenever you see an x in the g of 2, you replace it with a number 2. So that's just going to be 5. Now you're going to take that 5, replace it back here where the baby is. So f of 5, wherever you see that there is an x in the f of x right there, you're going to replace it with a number 5. So that's just 15 minus 5. So that is 10. So your answer is going to be 10. Now that I did number 5, I want you guys to go ahead and work on number 6. So roll your die to determine that. Okay, so we gone over 6 different questions. For number 7 and 8, it's a repeat of adding. And then same thing with number 9 and 10, 11 and 12, 13 and 14, and you should be done with all 14 questions. Your exit ticket today is just somewhere on your paper. I'm gonna have you guys create a composite function on your own. And that will conclude your lesson today. Make sure you guys turn the assignments in before you leave. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.